Heinrich Müller, the Gestapo chief who vanished without a trace. Heinrich Müller was one of the most powerful and most feared men in Nazi Germany. As head of the Gestapo, he knew every secret, controlled every file, and witnessed the regime's darkest crimes. He was present in Hitler's bunker until the very end, surrounded by chaos and death. Then, in May 1945, he disappeared. No body was found. No WW2 sightings emerged. No grave has ever been confirmed. For 80 years, intelligence agencies and historians have searched desperately for answers to one impossible question. How does a man this powerful, this dangerous, simply vanish in a thin air? From Bavarian mechanic to policeman. Heinrich Müller was born on April 28, 1900, in Munich, the capital of Bavaria and a city that would shape his destiny. At age 17, before the guns of the First World War had even begun firing, he completed an apprenticeship as an aircraft mechanic. In 1917, as the war entered its brutal final phase, he joined the Royal Bavarian Army, serving in the Luftstreitkräfte as a pilot for an artillery spotting unit. He received several decorations for bravery, his first taste of recognition and authority. After Germany's crushing defeat in November 1918, Müller returned to a nation shaken by revolution and teetering on the edge of collapse. Bavaria was one of the most unstable regions in the entire country. Left-wing uprisings in Munich created a brief Bavarian Soviet Republic, and counter-revolutionary forces battled for control throughout 1919. Blood ran in the streets. Müller joined the Munich police during this chaotic period, serving in the political branch, the unit responsible for monitoring threats to the state. He took part in quelling several uprisings, earning a reputation for ice-cold reliability. His reports were clear, structured, and completely free of personal language or emotion. Senior officers noted that he followed orders without hesitation, a trait that helped him advance rapidly through the ranks. By the early 1920s, Müller was firmly established in the Bavarian State Police. His daily work involved monitoring political groups across Munich, both left and right. This included early contact with the Nazi Party. Müller was present during the aftermath of the Beer Hall Putsch in November 1923, when Adolf Hitler and his followers tried to seize power in a failed coup attempt. Although Müller was firmly anti-communist, he despised leftist movements with a passion. He kept a professional distance from all political movements, including the Nazis. His reports from the time show no personal sympathy for them whatsoever. Instead, he focused on one thing only: identifying threats and enforcing state security. Politics didn't interest him, power and order did. Throughout the late 1920s, Müller's career in the political police deepened and darkened. He specialized in surveillance, interrogation, and the cold analysis of political threats. His superiors valued his administrative skills above all else. He understood filing systems like no one else, cross-referenced documents with meticulous accuracy, and maintained strict control over information flow. He was a master bureaucrat of repression. The turning point came in January 1933, when Hitler became chancellor and everything changed overnight. Soon after, Hermann Göring reorganized the Prussian police and created a new political force that would become infamous: the Geheime Staatspolizei, the Gestapo. Müller was recruited specifically because of his experience in Munich and his strong record against communist groups. He moved to Berlin and joined the organization during its earliest, most formative phase. His precise reporting and ability to manage vast intelligence files quickly made him stand out from his peers. By the mid-1930s, Müller caught the attention of rising security leaders, including Reinhard Heydrich, who was building the feared Sicherheitsdienst. Heydrich valued Müller's methodical approach and placed him in positions that demanded strict administrative control and absolute discretion. Müller joined the SS in 1934 and became a dependable, if somewhat cold, figure within Berlin's rapidly expanding security network. By 1938, he had earned a reputation as one of the most capable administrators in the entire German political police system. He wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but he was often the most dangerous. Chief of the Gestapo. When World War II erupted in September 1939, Müller became one of the most powerful officials in Nazi Germany's entire security apparatus. That same year, he was appointed head of AMT-4, the division of the Reich Main Security Office, RSHA, responsible for the Gestapo. The RSHA combined intelligence gathering, policing, and administrative oversight into one terrifying structure. From the RSHA headquarters in Berlin, Müller coordinated the daily work of thousands of officers spread across Europe. His responsibilities range from reviewing intelligence reports to directing investigations across occupied territories. His command of information, of secrets, made him absolutely central to the regime's internal security operations. As the war expanded across Europe, so did Müller's responsibilities and his power. He oversaw investigations into opposition networks, resistance groups, and individuals considered a threat by the Nazi leadership. His department monitored occupied territories, coordinated with field offices across the continent, and reviewed information from the Abwehr, Sicherheitsdienst, and foreign police agencies. Müller was deeply involved in the machinery of repression inside Germany, particularly against those accused of treason or espionage. Files passed through his hands daily. Lives ended with his signature. Relations within the security apparatus were often tense and competitive. Müller respected Heinrich, perhaps the only man he truly feared, but often clashed with Heinrich Müller, who preferred loyalty and ideological commitment over Müller's cold, bureaucratic strictness. Müller's lack of ideological enthusiasm made some leaders distrust him deeply, yet his efficiency kept him indispensable. After Heinrich's assassination in June 1942, Müller worked under Ernst Kaltenbrunner, the new head of the RSHA. One of Müller's most visible roles came after the July 20th, 1944 attempt on Hitler's life. When officers led by Klaus von Stauffenberg tried to kill the dictator at the Wolfslair with a briefcase bomb, Müller was immediately tasked with identifying and tracking down the conspirators. His office coordinated brutal interrogations, mass arrests, and the rapid investigation that followed. His work contributed directly to the collapse of the resistance network and the arrest and execution of thousands of individuals. His control over information made him one of the most informed men in Nazi Germany and one of the most feared. By early 1945, Müller had become essential to the collapsing regime's desperate efforts to maintain order amid chaos. As Berlin braced for the advancing Soviet forces, Müller continued to direct his department from within the capital. His final months in office would lead him into Hitler's bunker and into the mystery that still surrounds his fate today. Last days in the Führer bunker. By April 1945, Berlin was collapsing under the relentless weight of the Soviet advance. Government agencies evacuated in panic, but Müller stayed in the capital. As head of the Gestapo, he believed his place was near the center of power, or perhaps he knew it was too late to run. In mid-April, he moved into the Führer bunker complex beneath the Reich Chancellery. One of his last documented tasks was the interrogation of Hermann Fegelein, Himmler's SS liaison officer, after shocking news emerged that Himmler had tried to open peace talks with the Western Allies behind Hitler's back. Fegelein was questioned in a cellar near the bunker and later dragged out and shot after Hitler stripped Himmler of all his posts in a rage. The episode underlined how deeply Müller was still involved in internal security, even as the regime burned to ashes around him. Müller worked from the smaller administrative rooms off the main corridor. His role in the bunker focused on internal security, intelligence updates, and protection of sensitive records, the same files that could destroy what remained of the Nazi leadership. Every morning, he reviewed intercepted communications, troop reports, and the deteriorating status of Berlin's defenses. Hitler's secretary, Traudl Junge, later recalled seeing Müller on April 22nd and noted that he had effectively taken over some of Ernst Kaltenbrunner's duties as head of the RSHA. Junge and bunker telephone operator Rokas Misch both remembered seeing Müller again on April 30th, the day Hitler took his own life in his study. During these final days, Müller had frequent contact with Wilhelm Mohnke, who served as the bunker's military commander. Müller also interacted regularly with Martin Bormann, who relied on him for security assessments and intelligence updates. According to post-war testimonies, Müller briefed Joseph Goebbels on the state of resistance groups, fearing that opposition networks might try to exploit the chaos. He also monitored the loyalty of remaining personnel, constantly concerned about desertions as the situation worsened by the hour. Several bunker survivors later mentioned Müller's calm, almost unnaturally detached demeanor. He kept his uniform neat and pressed, maintained a strict office routine, and carried folders between meetings as if the government were still functioning normally. His authority came not from rank or ideology, but from the vast amount of information he controlled, secrets that could destroy lives even in defeat. In a system built entirely on secrecy and fear, Müller understood the scale of what he knew and the mortal danger it posed after the war. The last reliable sighting of Müller occurred on May 1st, 1945. Witnesses placed him still inside the bunker complex that afternoon, moving through corridors with his usual efficiency. After that point, accounts diverge wildly and contradict each other. Some state he left toward the Reich Chancellery Gardens. Others claim he moved into an adjacent shelter. A few witnesses suggested he inspected bodies near the exit, though these statements are maddeningly inconsistent. No confirmed document places Müller outside the bunker after May 1st, in a place where dozens of senior figures died, surrendered, or escaped through desperate breakout attempts. Müller simply vanished, as if he had never existed at all. The global hunt and the theories of his fate. When the war ended in May 1945, Allied intelligence agencies fully expected that Heinrich Müller would be among the top Nazi officials brought into custody. As head of the Gestapo, he possessed knowledge of internal security operations, foreign intelligence contacts, and the regime's most sensitive files, information that could expose networks, reveal collaborators, and unlock secrets. Yet he was not found among the thousands of prisoners taken in Berlin, nor was his name on any Soviet lists. Within weeks, both the U.S. Counterintelligence Corps and the Soviet NKVD launched independent, intensive searches. Early leads pointed in several contradictory directions. In the summer of 1945, some German prisoners told U.S. investigators that Müller had been seen dead near the Reich Chancellery. Others insisted emphatically that he had been captured and taken by Soviet troops. American officers searched hospitals, morgues, and detention centers across shattered Berlin, but found no confirmed match. The search was complicated by the frustrating fact that Heinrich Müller was an extremely common name. There were even 2 SS generals with that exact name. The Soviets offered no clear information. They claimed Müller was not in their custody, but Western agencies doubted this claim intensely. In the late 1940s, the Counterintelligence Corps and its successor agencies widened the hunt across Europe. They checked former Gestapo officers, searched the home of Müller's wartime mistress Anna Schmid, and gathered reports from across occupied territories. With the onset of the Cold War, however, priorities shifted dramatically. By the early 1950s, many officials quietly assumed Müller was dead, even as his name continued to appear in war crimes files and witness testimonies. The mystery, however, did not disappear, it deepened. Former SS officer Walter Schellenberg later claimed that Müller had defected to the Soviet Union and been seen in Moscow in 1948, though he offered no verifiable details whatsoever. During the 1960s, new rumors surfaced and spread. The capture of Adolf Eichmann in 1960 renewed international interest, and Eichmann told his Israeli interrogators he believed Müller was still alive, possibly in the Soviet Union. In 1961, Polish defector Michael Goleniewski reported that Soviet superiors had told him Müller had been picked up and taken to Moscow around 1950 to 1952, but U.S. investigators were unable to confirm his explosive story. West German authorities also pursued more concrete leads on the ground. They investigated reports that Müller's body had been found and hastily buried shortly after the fall of Berlin. One account came from Walter Lutters, who said he had helped bury an SS general's body with Heinrich Müller's papers in a grave at the old Jewish cemetery on Gross Hamburger Strasse. In 1963, A grave at that site was exhumed and examined, but the remains were mixed and frustratingly inconclusive. Later claims placed Müller in cities as far away as Czechoslovakia, Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and even Panama, where a man named Francis Willard Keith was briefly suspected of being Müller until fingerprint evidence definitively cleared him. In 2001, the United States released the CIA's extensive Müller file under the Freedom of Information Act. The documents showed that American agencies had searched for him for decades, but never found a single confirmed trace. The U.S. National Archives later concluded that the file was clear on one frustrating point. The CIA and its predecessors never made contact with Müller after the war. The report noted that there were strong indications, but no proof that he died in Berlin, and equally strong indications, but no proof that he might have been used by Soviet intelligence. In other words, nothing's certain. Müller's disappearance stands out precisely because he held one of the highest security positions in the entire Nazi state. In a city where hundreds of thousands died and many senior officials escaped or were captured, he remains the one figure for whom there is no confirmed ending. No body, no grave, no closure. His fate continues to challenge historians and intelligence experts alike, a ghost that refuses to be laid to rest. Like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell for more WW2 Documenta. Thanks for watching.